This is London calling in the overseas service of the British Broadcasting Corporation.
I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
The pocket battleship, Graf Spee, which has been for many weeks preying upon the trade of the South Atlantic, has met her doom.
Mother dear, I'm writing you from somewhere in France, hoping this finds you well.
We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Hang up the washing on the Siegfried line, 'cause the washing day is here. Whether the weather may be wet or fine, we'll just love along.
Das Oberkommando der Wehrmacht gibt bekannt. Ein im Atlantik operierender deutscher Flottenverband unter Führung des Flottenchefs Admiral Lütjen im Seegebiet um Island auf schwere englische Seestreitkräfte. Das Schlachtschiff Bismarck hat hierbei einen englischen Schlachtkreuzer, wahrscheinlich Hood, vernichtet.
The sinking of the Bismarck was due to the cooperation of the RAF with the Navy. And Rodney, which did some pretty work with her 16-inch guns.
This is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. But it is perhaps the end of the beginning. But the Japanese High Command had declared that a state of war existed with Great Britain and the United States.
The German Navy, so proudly built up by that smug strategical genius, the Führer, is slowly but surely being wiped out. Now the Scharnhorst, the 26,000-ton battleship, has gone to the bottom, a not unusual result of action against the Royal Navy.
Led by a powerful British escort, the main body of the surrendered Italian fleet is transferred from Malta to Alexandria.
Signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Force.
Back across the China Sea for the last large-scale surrender at Hong Kong, where today warships of the Royal Navy ride at anchor in the harbor.
Well, hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gareth Major, and what we're going to be doing is going to be taking a look at the November update, Fury on the Wings of Wisdom patch is what they've got decided to go and call it, which is slightly different, I have to confess. Anyway, as always, down in the description is a link to the patch notes should you wish to read along, and furthermore is also the hidden redeem code within the patch notes. Should you wish to claim that, that obviously grants you some shadow camouflages. It's all down there, just make things nice and easy, copy and pastable. Now tonight, as we go through this, we're going to be doing some slightly different things. I have mixed it up a little bit as expected, I guess you could say. Obviously, we have the standard desktop view where I will be obviously interacting with the chat, interacting with the software, and going through the patch notes on the right. But I thought rather than starting off straight away with going through the patch notes, what we do is maybe go through the trailer and dissect it a little bit just to see, basically see what we can pick out from the trailer. So we're going to quickly just jump to the trailer view. And so I guess as we go through, I'll just pause it. Now, what we're seeing here is obviously some of it, I've had to record it at 0.75 speed. The reason being was it was just so fast that there's just so much going on. So as I've just paused it there, we've got obviously the Jervis in the Halloween, well, not Halloween, Warhammer 40k camouflage for the orcs. So that's one thing we've been able to pick out. Now, I do bear with me if the quality of this isn't the greatest. Obviously, just shout out if there are any issues with audio or video quality, and I'll see what I can do on my end to make it better at your end. But before we crack on with the rest of this, I'd like to say good day, Spartacus. I see your comments regarding the evasive manoeuvres. I'll have a look at that, because that's one part of the patch notes I haven't completely scrutinised. Good day to you, Warships Live. Good to see you. And nice to see you, Mike. It's here. And sure the Major is happy. I am happy. It's the best way of it. But it's more anticipation at the moment of just getting my hands on it all and playing it through. Obviously, as you know, I've already got quite a bit saved up. So some of the things we're seeing in the trailers we're going along is that, first of all, they really like to have the Queen Elizabeth centre stage from most of this, which is rather amusing. But also, so here I've just paused it on the York, the Tier 6 German cruiser tech tree in the Black Templar camouflage. So she looks quite fit in there as well. As we play through it a bit more, obviously they talk about how the campaign is going to be interacting, I guess you could say, and that gives a nice little overview on some of the rewards, but obviously we'll go more in depth in that as we go through the patch notes. And obviously it shows amateur backing is staying at 2,500 doubloons. Obviously we have a quick blitz through most of the milestones there, and you can see there's quite a lot of rewards, and as we mentioned, we'll be breaking it down, looking through. Obviously there's two rewards. There's a ship reward, pause here. The ship reward at 40 milestones, which is the Tier 4, a French destroyer, the Shiroko, I believe is the correct pronunciation on that one. So she seems generally interesting. What I might do, I might just quickly rewind it a little bit. So as you can see here, she's going to have a main battery reload booster and engine boost. So no smoke screen, which is quite typical for a French destroyer. So she's not essentially unique in that case, I guess you say. 11,900 HP. She's going to be a big destroyer, is the best way to put it. I think that's quite a decent amount of HP for a Tier 4 destroyer. Alright, obviously you can see her in a bit of action there, but most of the stuff that they record for these trailers is obviously in versus AI, I've noted. I think that's some British Barracuda aircraft. This is the mains as well. So here they talk about what the mains has. So she's going to be the forthcoming Tier 7 German cruiser, Tier 7 Premium. And so obviously she comes with obviously the typical defensive AA consumable, and then they talk about what her sonar consumable is there. That sonar consumable appears to be generally typical for a Tier 7 German cruiser. So there's nothing really to add there. They don't really go into any other details in regards to the mains, but I guess you can expect it to have a very rapid reload. Whether it's on par with the Weimar, or maybe it could be less, it's not really known. There we have some Barracuda aircraft which look quite nice. I couldn't quite work out what those aircraft are, but this is showcasing what the HE bomb mechanic is going to be with the British aircraft carrier. So you've got this very large oval, and you're dropping multiple bombs into that oval. I think individually the bombs don't do a lot of damage, but they do have a very high fire chance. So basically with the British carrier, it's going to be more damage over time rather than actual damage caused, as in like straight away. And amusingly, throughout this entire trailer, they show them being played pretty badly. Like they're lining this reticle up diagonally or just horizontally across the ship. Whereas what you probably want to be doing is trying to get it lined up along the length of the ship, and therefore you're going to get more bomb hits. So amusingly, not really any bomb hits there. There's the Furious. Furious looks quite interesting, and this is an interesting one with the. Let's pause it there. Interesting one with their torpedo aircraft. As you can see, it kind of tapers in once you have those torpedoes fully lined up. So what this means is, it could mean that you could get more torpedo hits on target, which looks quite nice, but obviously a limited amount of aircraft as well, I believe, for the British aircraft carriers. So potentially the torpedoes won't necessarily be your bread and butter, but they'll still be all right, I guess you could say. It's interesting to have that kind of tapering mechanic. Anyway, so there we go. There you go. Dropping HE bombs horizontally across the ship again, rather than lining up along the length of the ship. It's amusing they show this kind of gameplay in a trailer, I guess you could say. But I guess it's more to give representation. And for everyone, I think if I continue to play it, you'll see that none of the bombs actually hit. I think that might be later on in the trailer. But yeah, it's showing off the Barracudas. And there's the Hermes, there's the Furious. Looking quite nice. I think it might be this one. You see that none of the bombs actually hit the ship. The only explosion happening is the actual muzzle flash from the battleship, which I found quite amusing. So throughout this entire trailer, they've shown British carriers are very good at missing with their high explosive bombs when the reticle is not lined up properly. And that I found quite amusing. And there's the torpedoes, and those torpedoes are going to miss. That Pensacola is going too fast. But yeah, so obviously into the Halloween, well, no, I keep calling it Halloween, I beg my pardon, it's the Warhammer 40k content. Obviously we have Orcs and the Black Templar. For those of you who aren't in the know, so the Orcs are a Xenos race. They have like a hive psychic potential. So within the Orcs, they believe that the colour red will make things faster, and because of their linked in psychic ability, because they all believe that red will make it go faster, red things do go faster. So that's where that kind of background comes into it. And then we have the Black Templars, which is a Adeptus Astartes, or Space Marines if you want to go back in the day. They're a chapter, yeah, that's it, that's the word. They're a chapter of Space Marines. So it's interesting to see. And there's the two ships side by side. And we'll look at those a bit further on. Obviously, with Orcs, they like to ram, but I'm not necessarily sure whether that will actually be an ability within the commander. We'll have to wait and see. I do apologise for the lack of sound, but obviously I don't want to get any copyright or anything. Now, we do have some very, very quick flashes of the commanders. I have been able to screenshot those, and we'll be taking a look at those a bit later on as we go through. But there's some interesting quick snapshots as well of the consumable camouflages, which will be available as part of the Warhammer 40k event. Again, we're having some more flashes of British ships, so I can't really complain there. We have the Leander, there she is again, and we also had the Queen Elizabeth. The reason being is obviously we're going into some seasons of ranked forthcoming. This will be tier 5, 6 and 7. And we'll look more into those details as well as we go into the patch notes. Obviously, Russian cruisers, or alternative cruisers, are fully researchable, and so obviously they're teasing the Riga here, which is the tier 7 cruiser, which obviously they want people to try and achieve. Now, they briefly flashed. Let's pause that. Let's replay it again. There we go. They briefly flashed the radar consumable on the Riga. Obviously, this is available to be seen in-game. However, it's your typical Russian radar. And then we also have a quick flash of the sonar, and that is your typical tier 7 sonar. So, again, there's nothing really too much to complain with the Riga there. And then we just have some random gameplay as we come to the end of the trailer. So now I'll quickly go back to the desktop stream. Yes, there we go. And let's catch up. Hello, Brandon. Good to see you. Good to see you. Sean Whitling. Hello. All we need now is the Dambusters music for the British aircraft while dropping the torpedoes. Ooh, I like the idea of that, but copyright strikes would be inbound if I did that. If I could find a free-to-use version of it, I might consider that. So, Zach, hello. So, Dr. Kandru... Oh, I do apologise if I'm going to butcher this. Kandru? Apologies for pronouncing that incorrectly if I have. Wait, what were the commander's base traits? We can take a quick look at those as we go through the patch notes. We kind of have an inkling of what the Black Templar one is. Regarding the Orcs, we're not really sure. They haven't really mentioned that, at least I'm not aware. And regarding the British aircraft carriers, we do have the base trait for that. Hello, ahoy, Bas Vegas, good to see you, and hello, JB. So, as I've already mentioned, we've just quickly gone through the trailer, we just dissected it. We're now going to take a look at the patch notes. I have got some screenshots I've taken from the trailer and from the patch notes, so hopefully it won't be just you looking at text. But if you want to look at text, then the link to patch notes is down below, and also the redeem code hidden within the patch notes, which grants you some shadow camouflages, will also be available. As we go through, try and ask questions about the relevant section as we're discussing it. I'd like take breaks and to look over the questions. If not, you've got any questions at the end, and we'll look through. Well, I'll go through the questions there, and hopefully the current web camera position's okay. Right, so first up, now we're into the patch notes. We are looking at a 2.5 gig update on all consoles, happening at the usual upload time, which will be 7 AM to 10 AM UTC on Monday, the 8th of November. Now, it's worth mentioning that for the past couple of updates, they have had to sometimes push the server maintenance out by another hour. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it actually gets pushed out to 11 AM. So obviously, don't expect them to obviously boot up bang on time. Watch Discord if you are waiting for a certain thing to happen at a certain time. JB, as a Royal Navy fanboy major, will you be playing the new CV line? Most definitely, and I think if you take a look on the channel, fingers crossed it should already be up. I have scheduled a live stream for Monday the 8th, which will be happening at 15:30 hours UTC GMT, which will basically probably be me just playing aircraft carriers. So, first of all, let's talk. They start off with the big T's and C's, I guess you could say. Important changes to containers. So, one of the things they've kind of highlighted here is a potentially an issue where even though there's mechanics within the game to stop you receiving duplicated values or duplicated ships, duplicated commandos, maybe potentially at times. You'll also probably note that the contents of a container is determined when you receive the container, not when you open it. So what this meant was potentially there could be situations where you would receive a ship from a batch of containers, and because you maybe purchased, say, a batch of 10 containers, that ship could potentially appear twice, even though there's this mechanic to stop duplicates happening. So potentially you could receive a duplicate ship, which would be a bit awkward. So they're changing the mechanics so that the contents of a container is determined when you open it rather than when you receive it, I guess you could say. This is what they've done there. Now, they've also introduced a new mechanic. This new mechanic is on the Black Friday containers only. What this mechanic is that basically, if you have not received one of the bigger rewards, for example, a ship, in this case, it's exclusively the ships. Within, say, 39 containers, your 40th container will be guaranteed to drop a ship. So basically, this means that you should always receive a ship, 1 in 40, which is 2.5% drop rate. However, they also cover that, obviously, it hints towards what the Black Friday ships are, and we've kind of already seen them teased. It's the Exeter, the Graf Spey, the Laterabelle, and the Massachusetts. Now, the drop rates for these ships, for the Exeter and the Graf Spey is 40%, for the Laterabelle it's 16.7%, and the Massachusetts is 3.3%. So the actual drop rates of these ships should be higher than the 2.5% safety net, I guess you could say. So in that regard, they're almost basically trying to make sure that if people are just gonna buy lots and lots of containers, the least they're going to get all of the ships. And the worst case scenario, they will get all of the ships within 120 containers. Obviously, it should be better than that. And obviously, it's worth mentioning that when you do receive a ship, it basically resets this countdown system that they've got to 40. Now, it's interesting to see that this mechanic has already been kind of introduced over on World of Warships PC, and this is the dev blog over there. Now, I will quickly, I'll see if I can just quickly chuck this link into the chat, whether or not it will actually work. But if you're so interested or so inclined that you want to go check out this post on the beta on the dev blog for World of Warships PC, then you can go check it out. But here they're talking about the same kind of mechanic. Now, obviously, we do have the same kind of mechanic as well, where, say, each ship has a 25% drop rate, but once you receive one of the ships, the drop rates for the other ships goes up to 33%. Within the console version of it, they do have a very similar comment. So the drop rates for the remaining ships increases if you have one of the ships already. So basically, that kind of covers off the same thing. Obviously, here, we've got a 40-40, a 16.7, and a 3.3, whereas here they're talking about a hypothetical 25%, 25%, 25%, 25% for 4 ships, say. Now, obviously, some of the probabilities, obviously, some of it, like they kind of say, probably is expected values. Sometimes some players were lucky and got it very quickly. Other players were unlucky and didn't get it until a lot later down the line. And so they started to introduce this guaranteed mechanic over on PC, which is very similar to ours, I guess you could say. So what this basically is in order to protect the bad luck players, I guess you could say. There's like a countdown. Now, on the PC version, it makes a lot more sense. So on Legends, we've got this 40. Countdown to 40. So if you haven't received a ship within 40 containers, you are guaranteed to get at least one of those ships. Over on PC, it's a slightly more interesting mechanic. What they've done on PC is if you haven't received that ship within the hypothetical drop rate. So basically, if you had 25, say a 25% drop rate, that means that basically it should take you, say, 4 crates to open 4 crates, you should receive a ship. So what would happen is, on your 4th crate, you're guaranteed to get the ship with the 25% drop rate, or a ship with a 25% drop rate. So obviously, if you had like a 3.3% drop rate, once you've opened enough crates to determine that you should all guaranteed to have that ship, on PC you'll automatically get that ship. On Legends, it's not as refined as that. We've just got this 40 counter, but it's better than nothing. I mean, on the console version, I would prefer to maybe see it a bit more refined so it matches the PC version of it, where it is this, like, once you've opened up enough crates to guarantee you should have that ship, it gives you that ship. Whereas over here we've got this, if you've opened up the crates and you haven't got one within 40, then you'll get one, whether or not it's a 3.3% drop rate or a 40% drop rate. Sure, the other way to do it is you get a duplicate ship and just give the player doubloons of the value of the ship. Most people will spend them again anyway. Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair way of doing it as well, Sean, as well. I must agree with that. That would be another way of potentially solving the duplicate ship system that they've had before, but they're trying out this new system, which should basically mean we do not get a duplicate ships. Therefore, it kind of should mean they don't need to do this kind of like reimbursement system. Brandon, oh yeah, my friend MV Retro was saying up his crates for Christmas to make it into a new vid. Now he's got to open them early. That is an unfortunate side. I have to agree, Brandon. That is a bit unfortunate, as he has made that intent. Potentially, obviously, depending on how your friend MV records. If he records directly off the console, then obviously he's going to have this kind of like... Depends if he was going to live stream it as well. If he's not going to live stream it, potentially he could just open those crates now and record them, then end the recording of that saying I had to open these now because of the way they changed the crate system. And then he could open up any additional crates later on towards Christmas, and then if he's releasing it as a video, he could stitch the 2 parts together and still make it a video. If he was planning on live streaming it, then I guess just do the live stream now and just explain why he's doing it now. And I think he should be okay to do that. Obviously, it's a bit unfortunate that they are introducing this system. So basically, one thing, obviously I haven't mentioned it, but maybe we should, is because they're implementing the new system, any containers that you have within your account will be open. So there's no point, say, saving onto commander crates or anything for afterwards. So basically, any containers you haven't got opened already will be open. So that's a bit of an unfortunate side. And as for Brandon's friend MV Retro, that is obviously to his detriment, or to the detriment of his plans, at least, or his intent. Okay. Good day, then, was. Good day. Origin of Wisdom campaign. So this is, so obviously we've got a 6-week campaign, but we've got 2 3-week updates. So it's worth mentioning that this patch is only 3 weeks, so we will be getting another patch update in 3 weeks, potentially for changes to mechanics and background things, and maybe removal of Black Friday and additional premium ships forthcoming, or maybe even future collaborations, you never know. But with regards to the campaign is running the full 6 weeks through that patch in the middle. Does the standard blue crate count towards the 40 crates for a ship? I don't think it does. The 40 crates for a ship is at the moment only going to be tested on Black Friday containers. However, all containers that are unopened within your account will have to be automatically opened in order for them to implement the new container mechanics to stop duplicate ships. So the reason why they're opening all the containers within your port is so they can introduce this mechanic where the contents of a container is determined when you open it rather than when you receive it. As in, that receive the container, not the goods, obviously. But with regards to the countdown to 40 for a ship, it's only going to be on the Black Friday ships. Okay, I think so. Obviously, we got the French destroyer here, to the tier 4, the Shiroko. Now she's got, let me see if I can actually bring up the, there we go, lovely. So obviously she's got 5.1 inch guns. Apparently she has decent torpedoes, however on PC that's a bit questionable, and decent in what regards? In regards to range, in regards to speed, in regards to damage, questions. Obviously, as we've seen, she has a main battery reload booster, which does look quite nice. Now it does say she's as flexible as it gets. We're talking about a ship which probably will have very poor rudder shift and has no smoke, and we're calling it flexible. I think we're stretching it a little bit there. Anyway, having a quick look at the pros and cons of the ship on World of Warships PC, on the assumption that most of the characteristics of the ships will stay the same. So in regards to the Shiroko, obviously main battery reload booster, that's quite nice. Apparently she should have quite decent concealment for a tier, but she is a tier 4 in our case. However, this will only provide a small window to fire her torpedoes from stealth, so potentially alluding to a very short torpedo range. She looks like she has a good gun range, and apparently she's agile and fast. Agility is always one of those questions I raise with the French destroyers, because I don't really call them agile because they don't have the greatest turning circle, they're probably average, and they don't have a good rudder shift. Usually it's pretty poor. So calling them agile has always been a bit of a question for me. But fast, yeah, she probably will be fast, and she is obviously going to come with that French engine boost, which is going to increase the engine speed, I think, by 20% rather than 8%. Or no, not 20%, is it 12% or something like that? Cons, obviously she has no smokescreen. She will probably have quite poor turret traverse. She will probably have very slow torpedo speed and probably poor anti-aircraft armament. But what do you expect from a tier 4 destroyer? Anyway, I'm moving on. Let's have a quick look. Brandon, he's probably going to do a video the way he said it. Yeah, that's what that was probably what I was thinking of doing. Maybe record a bit, put an explanation, and then trim it. Only tier 4 and have main battery reload booster. That is quite strong, actually. That's a good point flag in there. There was, but go all out always makes that better. Yes, as well. Yeah, if you go all out, that obviously will improve that rudder shift. Volkswagen made the Shiroko. That's probably my French pronunciation coming through. Not very good, pardon my French. Anyway, obviously this campaign, it's not going to be like the Element of Choice campaign. We will be getting both these ships. We're not going to have to decide between the two ships. What this means is you will be getting the Shiroko at tier at tier 4 at milestone 40, and then at milestone 120 you will be getting the tier 7 German cruiser, the mains, which I'm sure that some people are going, oh god, what have you done? Anyway, so the mains, she's a light cruiser version of the Admiral Hipper class cruisers. So she is obviously equipped with 6-inch guns in 4 triple turrets. Oh goody. Now we're already being pre-warned with fast firing guns. Oh no. Let's hope they haven't made it as OP as the Vilma, but let's wait and see. And while we're taking a moment, let's quickly pour the tea. I hope you're enjoying the AMSR sounds of tea being made. There we go. Chin chaps, while it's still warm. Always, just a perfect temperature. Anyway, so she's going to have improved sonar in regards to other tier 7 cruisers, not in regards to being a German cruiser. She's going to have the standard German cruiser sonar. Armor as good as heavy cruisers ones? Not quite. Not quite. Right, it's not as bad as a Vilma, thankfully. So the armor should be all right. Is the best way to put it. But it's not going to be Admiral Hipper or Prince Eugen class. Now she's going to have 4 quadruple launchers. That'd be 2 per side. That's pretty standard, really. I think the Hipper's got 2 launchers per side. So she should be quite interesting. In regards to her pros and cons over on PC, assuming that, well, obviously caveat, assuming we're going to be getting something along the same lines. Good main battery firing range. Quite a very, well, probably the best AP DPM, so she's going to be slugging AP quite well, and her HE DPM should be quite good as well, nothing to really turn our nose up at. She's going to have high HE penetration and decent fire chance, so obviously that HE is going to really hurt. She should have comfortable long-range gunnery capability with high shell velocity and flat arcs. Obviously she has those 4 quadruple torpedo launchers, giving her quite a heavy torpedo armament. She should still retain her turtleback armor scheme, which means that she will be slightly more difficult to citadel, or she has improved citadel protection at close range. She should have quite decent anti-aircraft suite as well, and obviously she has that German hydroacoustic search. Her downsides are that although she shares the same hull as an Admiral Hipper class cruiser, it is more thinly armoured. She probably will end up having slightly poor main battery firing angles, but that is yet to be seen. Torpedoes apparently should be short range for the tier, or shorter range, I guess, in comparison to the others. The turrets look to be lightly armoured and can be disabled or destroyed quite easily. Sluggish handling as well, especially for a light cruiser. You're looking at probably having an average speed and a slow rudder shift, and the consumer is probably going to be among the worst for a tier 7 cruiser. So obviously it's not all swings and roundabouts. It is all swings and roundabouts, I guess. Sean, sounds like Yorkshire tea. You are very right, my kind sir. Brandon, oh yes, a tier 7 Weimar. I know. I mean, it's interesting. Everyone's got a shot at her, which is fair enough. Mike X Gaming, oh, I want this. I don't blame you. It's going to be interesting to see. Let's hope that maybe they've fine-tuned it a little bit more than they did the Vilma, simply because the Vilma, I personally think, could still do with some further fine-tuning. Anyway, so obviously the campaign is running for 6 weeks, even though the patch is only running for 3. Now, Vaz, does it say if the weekly havocs are time limited? I didn't necessarily read anything in particular regarding that, but obviously we will get information within the first couple of days of the patch, as we usually get the patch breakdown or the weekly havoc breakdown. But if there's anything with these patch notes, we will obviously mention it. Anyway, obviously, so let's have a look at the rewards. There we go. So, in regards to the rewards, it seems a bit on the low side. Like, my initial look at it, it looks a bit on the low side. Obviously, promotion orders, you can get up to 40 with anti-backing and only 16 without. So a lot of promotion orders, but only 4 insignias with anti-backing seems a bit on the low side. 5 insignias with anti-backing seems fair enough. I would prefer a bit more. Obviously, there are doubloons, but the amount of doubloons being received is quite low, only 750. But I guess what they're trying to say is nowadays they do try to move the amount of doubloons within the campaign. They're reducing them and probably moving more of the doubloons over to things like ranked and other things like that. Now, one thing, obviously, it's a bit awkward. The way they arranged it is a bit. So it's 5 commendations in total with Amity backing, 6 insignias total, I believe. And this is the weird one. No, they've got to see. You get 5 in total insignias. You'll get 4. No. Where's the universal accommodations? 3. Okay, no. So the orange values are correct, actually. The orange values are correct in regards to what you actually get with Amity backing total. As JB mentions, no Black Friday crates, though. That is intriguing. But I think there might be Black Friday crates elsewhere in regards to, say, ranked. But obviously, yeah, they're holding off on the Black Friday containers, I guess you could say. Good evening, Pixelmug. Good evening. Things are well, thank you. We've returned from holiday literally this morning and been setting this up in the background. Yeah. Anyway, so as we're talking about the values of things and stuff, let's jump to the Go Compare, the good old trusty Majors spreadsheet. So obviously here we're looking at the history as of records beginning of the campaigns historically and how many rewards you'll get with Amity backing and without Amity backing in total, and the difference along with the percentage that you'll be receiving without Amity backing. So, this campaign you'll be receiving 18,278 doubloons worth of rewards without Amity backing. It is above average. So, in that regards, that's quite good. And in regards to how long it's been since we've had anything of that high, it's been April 21 that we last received a doubloon value in excess of that. However, it's worth mentioning it is a 6-week campaign, so obviously that additional week's worth of work is going to be increasing or inflating the amount of doubloons that it is worth. And that's the same with the amount of doubloons that the amount of rewards that you'll be receiving with Amity backing. So with Amity backing, you'll be receiving a total of 80,165 doubloons worth of content, which obviously is incredibly high. That's a lot higher than the average, which is 69,000, and it is the highest since December 2020. However, it's worth mentioning December 2020 was also a 6-week patch, and so was November 2020. And so in comparison to, say, 6-week patches, it's actually the lowest doubloon value for a 6-week patch. I can't recall any other 6-week patches on there. So in that regards, it's quite amusing, I guess you say. So, but you're getting an additional 10,000 doubloons worth of content above average, I guess you say, for an additional week. So might be justifiable, I guess you say. The difference between the with Amity backing and without Amity backing is 61,887, which means in total you'll be receiving 22.8% of rewards without Amity backing. So in regards to the difference is above average, but the percentage difference is below average. But it's quite amusing. Because I've been doing this record, you can start to see where certain things change. Excluding April 2021, you can start to see it, say, October 2019 through to about October 2020. The percentage of the campaign that you'd be receiving without Amity backing was in the high 20s, I guess you could say, high 20s and 30s. And then, after October 2020, it starts to go down to the low 20s. You can see we drop... The average kind of drops there, and it goes down to about the low 20s. Obviously, April 2021, it does jump up to 41%, but then we're back down to the low 20s. So it's quite interesting, actually, to have this historical information in regards to how much doubloonage you were getting with Amity backing versus without Amity backing. And obviously, what this kind of implies is, in general, they have moved more of the rewards from being received without Amity backing to with Amity backing, I guess you could say. The numbers are there, so they can't deny it, and this is why I record it all. Let's see. JB, you automatically get a ship now, but no free Black Friday crates. I think, well, no Black Friday crates with the campaign, I guess you could say. You still got to buy a ton. Good evening, Naval Crib. Just jumped in, say hello, have fun, and fair seas. I'm only available after 10 PM tonight. Fair enough. I might as well mention, if you can, give the stream a thumbs up. Obviously, it helps with promoting the live stream, promoting the channel. Yeah, but this campaign is 6 weeks instead of 5. That's true. I think I've caught up. These rewards are actually really weak, all things considered. That is true. That is true. That is basically my opinion. When I first took a look at it, it does look a little bit on the weaker side. This campaign does seem to be a little bit on the weaker side. It seems like with this campaign, the ships are more the reward rather than the campaign rewards along the way. There's not really much there, like in regards to it being 6 weeks. I think if it was 5 weeks, you could maybe go, it's just about justifiable, maybe. But I think they could put... It needs sprucing up a little bit, especially as we're closing on Christmas, especially with Black Friday. I mean, there's no harm in them, say, sticking a couple of Black Friday crates in the first 40 milestones. Why not? Why not make it the first milestone? Give everyone a free Black Friday crate. Why not? Yeah, so it does seem to be a little bit on the tight-fisted side, I guess you could say. Anyway, back to the patch notes. So continuing, obviously, the thing that obviously is the thumbnail of the stream, and as you can anticipate, I am very excited about. It is the Royal Navy is finally getting their aircraft carriers. Why, oh why, it took them so long to introduce British aircraft carriers in comparison to German ones, I don't understand. Especially considering the reason why they said the British aircraft carriers were taking their time was because obviously they had to design the mechanics for the aircraft, but the mechanics they've used for the aircraft is basically directly ported off of PC in regards to carpet bombs and narrowing torpedo trajectory. So I'm not exactly sure why it took them so long to think of that. I would have thought that would have been straightforward to go, oh, we just copy PC. So why that took so much longer to do in comparison to introduction of AP bombs, I don't know. Whether it's with AP bombs on the German carriers, it was quite straightforward because you already had a dive bomb mechanic. I get maybe that could be why. Anyway, so we do have some information, and so I will be obviously bringing that up in the background here. So, first of all, I really like this picture. I don't know whether I could make it into a channel background or something, I'm not sure. But watch this space, I guess you say. Now, of course, we're going to be getting carriers at tier 3, 5, and 7. And we'll also be getting a dedicated commander, basically as we've been getting with all other nations. This tech tree will be fully researchable straight away. There's no early access, there's no crates, there's no hidden surprise mechanics. They are there, fair and square, straight up in front. So of course I have 1 million global XP saved up, I have lots of credits, and I'll probably be churning through these as quickly as possible. I'll probably boost the entire lot of them, I'll probably have them fully upgraded, and I'll probably even have the commander fully upgraded rank 16 legendary 4 straight away. The reason being is, well, let's have some fun. Anyway, so obviously they mentioned it comes with the carpet bomb mechanic, and we did see that within the trailer we did cover at the start. Also, they talk about the torpedoes offering a narrowing trajectory, so if you want to maybe really pinpoint, you have to drop them far off, or you can just drop them close and get them to hit the target. Now they do say the immediate damage output, almost like the alpha damage output from British carriers, is going to be quite low in comparison to the other nations. However, it's more about damage over time, especially with the HE carpet bombs, where it's the fire chance is all about what you're going to be doing. Pixel, it's getting harder and harder to save global XP for the Atlanta, especially with the opportunity to hunt down Japanese destroyers with these new carriers. I don't blame you. I got very lucky. I think a free Santa container that I received from the Legends Second Birthday Bureau project gave me 750,000 global XP. So I got very lucky, and I've been sat on that for a little while, waiting for this very moment. My God, look how happy he is. It's like a kid in a candy shop. Sean, new British Sea Thieves have commander with, I bet he drinks Carling Black Label, but carpet bombs don't miss. I've been wanting to take that advert and put it in my live streams as like an advert, but I'm just concerned about copyright. But yeah, the Carling Black Label advert is absolutely classic. So obviously at tier 3 we have the Hermes. There we are, a lovely, beautiful, I call it a cruiser carrier. A reason being is to support cruisers was her general thing. Anyway, apparently she should have quite good HP for a carrier for her tier. She should be quite fast as well, and I think she is. Let's have a look. I've got to get the right book. There we go. What's she developed on? The problem is I always mix up Eagle and Hermes. I think Eagle was based on a battleship hull, and Hermes was based on a commercial ship. Oh, I think she's actually built from scratch as a carrier. Yeah, Hermes was built from scratch as a carrier, as intended, whereas Eagle, which looks very similar but obviously is completely different, was based on a battleship hull which was for, I think, Argentina. I'm pretty sure of that. Chilean, yeah. So Eagle was based on the Chilean battleship hull, whereas Hermes was a purpose-built aircraft carrier from scratch, which is quite interesting. I think she's the first aircraft carrier built in the world from scratch, rather than being a conversion from an existing hull. So that's probably what makes her quite interesting as well. She looks like she's quite good armour for a carrier as well. Apparently on PC, she has a very large hangar. Whether this comes across in Legends is going to be interesting, and how that impacts aircraft management as well. Obviously, we have those typical bombing reticles with the circle. Now, drops many bombs. So the general conception is, say, in comparison to Langley, where you get 2 aircraft and they drop 2 bombs, the British, you're probably get 2 aircraft, but they might drop like 4 bombs each, or you might get 1 aircraft, but it drops like 8 bombs with the Hermes. The downsides of the Hermes, basically not great bomb damage, but that's what we're kind of expecting. The Hermes herself will probably have quite poor detection, maybe worse than the Americans. Quite poor rudder shift as well. On PC, there's only 1 aircraft that drops a torpedo at a time. So you're dropping like individual torpedoes, which does mean that aircraft management and damage output from the torpedo aircraft might be quite poor. And obviously with the bombs, you're dropping a lot of bombs, but they're getting spread out by a large area. So potentially that could mean that not a lot of bombs will hit the target, as you probably saw in the trailer where they were dropping bombs here, there and everywhere. Moving on, we have the Furious. Now the Furious is quite an interesting aircraft carrier. She's actually started life as a battle cruiser, I guess you could say, or a very lightly armoured battle cruiser. In fact, basically, I think Fisher was trying to get some more battle cruisers for a grand scheme of an incursion into the Baltic Sea, but basically they couldn't build any more battle cruisers, so he said, oh, we're going to build some heavy cruisers. There was Glorious and Courageous, which were equipped with 2 dual gun 15-inch gun turrets, and Furious, which had 2 single barrel 18-inch guns. And at one point Furious was never finished with her forward gun, and the forward partnership was made into a flying off deck as an experiment, as almost like an aircraft carrier experiment during World War One. And so at one point, HMS Furious was the most heavily armed aircraft carrier in the world, with a flying off deck up front and an 18-inch gun up back. Obviously, they couldn't really use the 18-inch guns in anger because they damaged the ship more than they damaged the enemy. So obviously the rear turret went, and it got replaced with a new landing platform, but she kept her superstructure and her funnels. Obviously, this is Furious after many, many refits. She was originally, when she had this refit, she was originally finished as a flat top, but they did kind of add like a mini bridge off to the side, and then they've added this little crow's nest on there. So she is a bit different to her sisters, Courageous and Glorious, but she is still very beautiful. Anyway, her pros. Apparently the aircraft should have quite high HP, which does intrigue me as well, which means potentially her aircraft can soak up a lot more damage. On PC, the carpet bomb drops is 12 bombs per attack, which is quite a lot of bombs, say in comparison to the Ranger, where you're only looking like 2 bombs, I think, or something like that. The plane's apparently quite reactive or responsive, turning quite quickly, so it could mean the aircraft is quite maneuverable. Apparently, you might have quite good secondaries in the Furious, so obviously that is going to help with your self-defense, and also your AA capability should be quite strong as well in comparison. So potentially range levels of AA may be better. She is also the fastest carrier for the tier as well, which, fingers crossed, that comes through to World of Warships Legends, as Furious is based on the hull of a potential battle cruiser. Hopefully, she has retained a lot of that speed. You got to remember that HMS Hood does 33 knots, so if Furious can even touch that, that'd be much obliged. Obviously, the downsides, well, she's a battle cruiser, so she's going to have a humongous turning circle for a carrier, so she's not going to be very nimble. However, maybe with her speed, she can focus on like relocating quickly and anticipating those threats. But if those threats do find you, you're not going to be turning away from them very quickly. Also, you're probably going to have quite poor concealment because you are huge. You're probably also going to have pretty poor torpedo damage as well from your aircraft, and probably poor speed as well. Obviously, reduced damage at alpha, but more damage over time. Obviously, bombs, they might hit destroyers, but then again, you're probably going to be used to that. Hitting small targets is always quite difficult. And looks like the bomb damage, obviously individually the bomb damage is going to be quite low, because obviously the sheer number of them. Now obviously that just leaves us with the absolutely beautiful Implacable, a modified illustrious class aircraft carrier. Basically Implacable, due to wartime delays and stuff, she had some additional modifications done to her. She was originally going to be a illustrious class aircraft carrier. She had some modifications, I believe, based on wartime experience. I can't recall all the individual differences are, but obviously just generally she's a slightly modified version. Now it looks like, again, lots of bombs, potential to set lots of fires, multiple fires across a target, because if you line up the reticle along the length of the ship, it should be quite nice. Torpedoes are probably going to be quite short range though, so but that means they will probably have quite a short arming time, so you will be able to get your torpedoes very close to a ship before you drop them. Also, again, the aircraft look to be quite manoeuvrable, especially the torpedo aircraft. Very strong AA suite, which is probably expected for an illustrious class aircraft carrier, especially being that they served over the Pacific Theatre. And of course, an armoured deck, something that the British are quite well known for, is having an armoured deck on an aircraft carrier. The reason being was this was based off of early, interwar training experience. So during war games with the Royal Navy, they found that what would happen was obviously by the time you saw the aircraft and were aware of the aircraft, you would not have time to get fighters airborne in order to intercept the incoming aircraft. Obviously, this was pre-radar days, where obviously you're relying on the Mark 1 eyeball. Because of that, what they found was obviously trying to launch fighters was nigh impossible. So the only defense for an aircraft carrier was to have armor from incoming bombs. So the idea was to obviously provide an armoured deck, and the idea would be that it would protect the hangar, and if the deck survived, then you continue to use the aircraft carrier with the deck. And that was very much true over in the Pacific Theatre following Japanese kamikaze attacks. I think can't recall which aircraft carrier got hit, but quite a few British aircraft carriers did get hit, and on one of them it made a tiny hole in the deck. It was simply sweepers, manual brooms, sweep the Japanese aircraft off the side, and in order to make the deck all level and straight again, they simply filled the dent with concrete. And that concrete was still there in the 1950s, and the ship was decommissioned. In regards to the downside, her citadel appears to be quite high above the waterline, so if she does get spotted, she will be probably blapped out of existence. The bombs, the HE bombs, are probably going to have quite low penetration just due to their higher quantity. That probably means they're the smaller individual damage, and potentially she might have quite poor aircraft recovery time, but that is all yet to be seen, obviously, because we are looking at the PC version pros and cons. I can now close that document, and I can now catch up with the chat, which has moved on quite busily in the background. I think... Oh, just Sean there. Are you happy with the choice of the CV chosen for the British? We didn't really have much choice, I guess you could say, because obviously we're getting what's on PC, so we didn't really have much choice. We kind of knew we were always going to be getting Hermes, Furious, and Implacable. Personally, if I could rejig it, I think Furious is a good choice for Tier 5. I can't really complain about that. I think Hermes is a good choice for Tier 3. Potentially Eagle could be an interesting choice as well. But Eagle could always make a nice premium as well, so in that regard, I don't really mind. I think either Eagle or Hermes makes a sensible choice for Tier 3. Courageous, Glorious, Furious make good choices for Tier 5. I think, unfortunately, although Ark Roars are very... potentially, she is a fleet carrier. I can see her being a Tier 5 as well, so I expect Ark Roars to be a Tier 5 premium in the future. I don't think Argus would make a good choice for an aircraft carrier. At Tier 7, I would have maybe preferred to have seen like a true illustrious class aircraft carrier, whether that be an illustrious, illustrious, formidable, or victorious. I would have preferred to have seen maybe one of the pure illustrious classes rather than the implacable being a slightly modified version of the illustrious class. But it is what it is, and the Implacables, if that's what they modelled, that's the closest we're probably going to get to a true illustrious class aircraft carrier. Whether we see like a true illustrious class in future, you never know. Obviously, based on PC, can't really say there is going to be one. But I would have preferred. I think I would have preferred a true illustrious class aircraft carrier for Tier 7 rather than a slightly modified version. Let's see. I think that is... Oh, we do have the commander to look at. Here we go. So, what you may not know is I made a short list of aircraft carrier commanders. And I did submit this to Wargaming a while back when they confirmed that aircraft carriers were coming this year for the British. I don't know whether they made their choice based on what my choice is or whether it's just coincidence. But Dennis Boyd was one of my choices as a British aircraft carrier commander, so I'm actually quite pleased to see him come through. If you're interested, let's see, can I open up the shortlist? Yeah, I can open up the shortlist. So my shortlist was obviously Dennis Boyd, Lindley Lister, and also Charles Lamb. Dennis Boyd was obviously my first choice, so ironically they've gone for my first choice, so I'm actually quite pleased with that. I don't know if they made a decision based on my comments on the feedback, but if there is any credit, I'll take it. But I wanted to avoid maybe some of the more controversial aircraft carrier commanders because there were some who made mistakes and could be slightly politically charged, I guess you say. Anyway, in regards to Dennis Boyd, his base trait is called Under the Radar, and this reduces the air detectability of all ship types by 10%, which is an interesting trait. We might talk about that towards the end, maybe, if someone can remind me. Now, his legendary trait is the Volt. The passive effect is basically increases your dive bomber, or well, basically HE bomber, and your torpedo bomber's HP by up to 4%. It's nothing really. The special effect, reduce incoming damage to your aircraft carrier as long as you're within proximity of an ally. Only 3.5 kilometers though. That's not enough. Honestly, I think that needs to be probably at least your detectability range, really. That's the thing. I feel that's a bit too small. But it reduces incoming damage to your aircraft carrier by up to 20%. It's an interesting ability, but who's going to be willing to park right next to your aircraft carrier, which probably has some of the worst detectability for its tier, is questionable, I guess you could say. So in regards to his legendary trait, I don't really think it's worthwhile. I think you're just going to be taking fully packed. In regards to his other ability, other ones, so you've got so his first trait, you've got contact is imminent, which will improve the torpedo speed up to 4 knots. Who is Dennis Boyd? Go on then. Let me bring up my CV Commander recommendations. So it's Dennis Boyd. During the Second World War, Boyd captained the aircraft carrier HMS Illustrious from 1940, seen in action at the Battle of Taranto. He was promoted to Rear Admiral in August 1941. He became Admiral commanding aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean Fleet. He moved to the Eastern Fleet in 1942 as Admiral commanding aircraft carriers with HMS Indomitable as his flagship. He was appointed 5th Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Air Equipment in 1943 and was promoted to Vice Admiral in August 1944. He then became Admiral Air at the Royal Navy Air Station in Lee on Solvent in January 1945. That's his background in regards to aircraft carriers. So he's one of the masterminds, or no, one of the masterminds / people taking action in regards to the raid on Taranto. There you go. That was an extract from my feedback post of Wargaming. So it's interesting he's got that increase in torpedo speed, which generally implies that British torpedoes might be a bit slow. Furthermore, he's obviously got the 2 typical AA ones. You've got no fly zone and swatting it flies, basically improving AA damage by quite a substantial amount, or AA damage and AA range. Personally, I prefer to go for no fly zone because it increases the range, basically pushing away the aircraft. Next one down, he's got I can't remember the name of the trait, but basically it's the one that reduces incoming damage to your aircraft carrier. And alternatively, you've got I think it's called Home Run, which is the improved torpedo damage. So potentially improving torpedo aircraft. Bottom one, you've obviously got improved. I think it's airspeed and detectability of the torpedo aircraft or the HE bomb aircraft, and then we've also got the warning indicator that tells you how many people are aiming at you. And last but not least, we've also got the same kind of like HE bomb trait as the American commander. We've also got Look at Me Now, which reduces your total concealment by 6%, and then we just talked about the legendary traits there. So hopefully that is a nice wrap up on British aircraft carrier commanders, or commander, I should say. Yeah, I'll do it now. There is potentially one other potential commander choice you could go for. If you have Transformers Hot Rod, reason being is he will reduce your air detectability by 20%. So by doing that, I think if you added Boyd on there as well, you reduce your air detectability by 30%, which would be quite amusing. Sprago, very bland captain for British carriers. I wouldn't say that. The thing is with British aircraft carriers, it's always very difficult to pick one. I mean, if you really wanted to go all out, I would have very much liked. I would have liked Philip Vane or Vine. The reason being is because of his service with the Eastern Fleet. The issue is Vine's already in the game with his service on British destroyers, which he was also very renowned for. So in that regards, you can't have Vine. And so you get a bit... There's not many other names that really come to mind. Obviously, I think what people I wanted to avoid was... pardon the pronunciation, but Guy Dio Hughes. He was the captain of the Glorious when she went down. He is a bit politically charged. Loben Mound, or Maund, he's potentially a bit awkward or potentially sticky situation because I think he nearly got court-martialed for the sinking of the Ark Royal. Louis Mountbatten, who did do some stuff with aircraft carriers, is potentially quite politically charged, so I wouldn't really want to risk it with him. Other choices, I think Limney Lister was quite interesting. From 1940, he saw saw further active service as Rear Admiral in charge of aircraft carriers in the Mediterranean Fleet. He's notable for drawing up the attack plan for the Battle of Taranto, Again, that's quite notable. In 1941, he was appointed 5th Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Air Services and Commander of the aircraft carriers in the Home Fleet, with his flag in HMS Illustrious. In 1942, he commanded air operations during Operation Pedestal, for which he was appointed the Commander of the Order of the British Empire. His appointment was as Flag Officer, Carrier Training. That was his last appointment in 1943, before he retired in 1945. So, Lumley Lister is quite an interesting choice. And then I've got Charles Lamb in there. He was like my third choice. In 1944, he was given command of the aircraft carrier HMS Illustrious in the British Pacific Fleet in May 1944 and survived a kamikaze attack in 1945. Again, not a lot of history regarding Charles Lamb. So I think Dennis Boyd and Lumley Lister were both my two main choices, considering that Philip Vian is already in the game as a destroyer commander. However, Morley has two alternatives, is the best way for it. Spartacus, since the Japanese based Pearl Harbor on the Taranto raid, technically the British are responsible for Pearl Harbor. I'm afraid on behalf of the US I declare war. Well, the problem is, if the British did Pearl Harbor, we would have done it better. As in the words of Dr. Alex Clark, I should say. Anyway, so moving on, let's jump back to the desktop, and we can now start taking a look at the Soviet cruisers early, they finally leave early access. So the Kotcherovsky and the Gorky, which I've already reviewed, again, I'm not exactly ecstatic about them, but they are what they are. The Tallinn potentially looks interesting as an Admiral Hipper class hull, down tier to tier 6 and equipped with Russian style guns and stuff, so that potentially could be interesting. And then of course at tier 7 with the Riga, which we did see some of the details. Obviously equipped with 8.7 inch guns in, I think, 3 treble gun turrets. And well, let's just see how it goes. I will be trying to review those, like I should say. Black Friday, so obviously the Le Bell, the Graf Spee, the Massachusetts, and the Exeter, along with obviously the Black Friday in-game sales, and obviously that will see discounts on other premium ships and stuff. Be cautious in regards to the way the Black Friday sales go, because what they do is they show you, like, let's for example, they show like 5 promotion orders, 1 insignia, and 1 promotion, and it'd be like 500 doubloons, and you'll buy it. Once you bought it once, the price goes up. Okay, so don't be fooled by accidentally going, oh, it's 50 or 500 doubloons, I'll just buy. Watch it. The price will go up incrementally every single time, and it's caught people out for the past 2 years. So this is buyer beware. Check the price before you purchase it, even if you just purchased it. Okay, so when it comes to the Black Friday sales. Last year they said they were going to do an announcement on it, and then they didn't do an announcement on it, and then people started buying stuff, thinking that they were going to get every following purchase for the same price as the first purchase, not realising it. It's easily done. I've done the mistake myself, and therefore then they had to come up with an announcement on social media. So this is buyer beware. Watch out for that. I'll show that. I guess I should have said they have very bland captain's building skills. Yes, I'll agree with that. I think I personally would have preferred to have seen a base trait on Boyd which would have improved aircraft carrier speed or reduced aircraft carrier detectability by sea, or detectability in general. Making it detectability by air is very niche. I agree with you there. And then the legendary trait, it's not enough. Personally, I think they need to do more with that legendary trait, because your proximity to allies only being 3.5 kilometers is just not enough. It really should be a maximum, say like 7.5 or 10.5 kilometers, because at least then it's an incentive to keep within touching distance of your team at times, because sometimes the action is just in front of them. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. Looking forward to the Riga. I don't blame you. I look forward to testing her. I hear that she's genuinely seems to be quite good. The downsides of the Riga being her dispersion is probably pretty god-awful. Well, I guess considering her armour and her gun calibre and her gun characteristics in general, or shell characteristics, I guess what that really means is they had to obviously give her a downside somewhere. That downside was going to be the dispersion of the guns. Tezcaz. Tezarkaz. Apologies, I pronounced that wrong as well. I'm going to use Jericho because he's a flexible commander. Also, also a very well suited gentleman, I guess you could say. Jericho is a good choice as well. I'm tempted to give Transformers Hot Rod a go because I get to take my anti-aircraft. I'm going to be buffing some rotor speed, and then I'm going to be reducing my air attack speed by 20%, and then I can reduce my air attack speed by another 10%. So it means my aircraft carrier will never be seen by planes. So as long as I'm sensible, my map management and reading the map, I should be right to stay undetected for a good amount of time, because also I like to play with my team as well. I like to stay up front. So anyway, that's Black Friday and a little bit of overspill from aircraft carriers. Moving on to the Warhammer 40k, and again I've made some lovely background photos. Here we go. So obviously here are your two ships. So we have the Jervis and we have the York in their Warhammer 40k permanent camouflages. Now in regards to the Black Templars, their skills seem to be centered around armor-piercing shells, and so we can kind of see the base trait here. We have Merciless, which increases maximum damage for your cruiser's armor-piercing shells and reduces reload time of your cruiser's main battery. That seems quite nice. And furthermore, if you look at the second row, it seems like his unique trait. Again, it seems to be in regards to obviously a defensive ability and also an offensive ability as well, and potentially will be in regards to armor-piercing shells as well. So potentially that's a nice one to look out for. Hello, Stumpy. Hello. Now, in regards to the orcs, we haven't really got much to go on here. It says burn and ram. That's the spirit, and of course she's red, because the red ones go faster. So obviously, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, the red ones goes faster is a bit of a Warhammer 40k meta, part of the in-game universe. So obviously, that's where that comes from. So when we take a look at the orcs, we don't know what the first trait is, or the base trait is. But what's shown there is a squig bomb, if you're into the Warhammer 40k. So whether that's going to have, again, we're kind of alluding that it's something to do with burning and ramming. Obviously, maybe the ram. So maybe it could be like a fire chance and a ram damage, potentially, on that one. Now, obviously, we do have. Is it full? Is it full speed ahead or go? Yeah, full speed ahead. I think. Kind of style trait there in the second slot in versus Look at Me Now, which is, I guess, if you want to improve the speed of British destroyers. His unique skill seems to be down in the fourth slot, so that's obviously versus Smoke on the Water, and that seems to be in regards to fires as well. So potentially this could make British DDs quite fire throwers. And I think if you combine that with I'd rather be torching, the legendary trait, which you can see down there on the bottom right, that could make for a very interesting fire output commander, if you're looking for one. Obviously, we don't have any proper details in regards to the Warhammer 40k Orc commander, unfortunately, but I look forward to it because it's British. It might help me diversify my my destroyer builds. Name was, thank you, it's flank speed, so the skill in the second slot there, adjacent to Look at Me Now, is flank speed, which will improve your destroyer speed, which is quite nice. So Spargo, interesting about the Hot Rod build for CVs. I'll check him out. Yeah. If you're happy to wait until Monday, I'll be playing around with that idea as well. So I'll probably be playing around with a couple of different command builds if I can. I don't see why would you believe Wargaming allow you to get things for cheap constantly. I guess that's potentially true. Anyway, so there's not much more information in regards to Warhammer 40k, but obviously, in regards to what's in the patch notes from the trailer, we did get some slightly more information. There's obviously going to be the permanent camouflages for the Jervis, so there it is there. Obviously, I'm sure we can just turn this off if we don't want to be looking at it. And there's also the York, which we can kind of see there in the background. There's also going to be some consumable camouflages. So, for example, we have the Black Templar consumable camouflage. This looks quite nice. I'm going to be honest, this actually does look quite nice. Not really sure I'll be using it on anything in particular, but that I can't really argue about it. It's not displeasing in any way. Going on to the Orc camouflage, it's all right. it's definitely Orc style is the best way to put it. But I'm not really too keen on it. Not sure about the ice cream he's holding. It's a very strange looking commander. And I suspect there'll be unique voiceovers as well, very much like we got with the previous Warhammer 40k, where we might even see a return of the first wave of Warhammer 40k as well, you know, just which again I'll be looking forward to if I can, because I'll probably try and get some Imperial crates in order to get some of that lovely blue and grey Imperial camouflage if I can. Oh, I need to spill my tea. But let me just finish my tea quickly, sorry. I think we're all done. Yeah, we're all done with the tea. Right. So I'm going to stop making a mess of that, thank you. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, we have ranked coming up. Let's go back to the... There we go. So obviously, we've ranked... Tiers 5 to 7, no aircraft carriers, but a continued limit on destroyers. Again, I personally think they should just lift the limit on destroyers and let the player base try and balance it out themselves with the mix of cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. But they continue with this limiting on destroyers. And the issue I have with the limiting on destroyers is it makes certain destroyers completely unviable. Just because they're the sole destroyer, and because it's the sole destroyer, a lot of emphasis is placed upon the single destroyer to do the caps and things like that. And it's some nations' destroyers aren't really suitable in comparison to, say, others when it comes to ranked. Somebody, tea or spawn was saying that it was a nice pot of Yorkshire tea. Spargos, interesting camouflage. The black one is gothic, and the orc one looks like a kid went nuts with crayon set. That is very true. That's basically very true to the meta of the universe, I guess you could say. Obviously, with this one, there's no arms race mechanic, thank God. So this is just back to like bog standard ranked, which is quite nice. Obviously, they talk about some other things. So basically, there's no like stars. You just progress up the ranks. I think, and some of the ranks here are very cool, but not all. If you lose a game, then obviously go back a step, and that's is an irrevocable one. The best player on the losing team, XP wise, doesn't lose a star, and a draw counts as both teams losing, so everyone loses a star apart from the best players on both teams. And obviously, if you win, you gain a star and you go up. I think generally, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm potentially tempted to say is everyone a single star? But then that is 4 days, but it's going over a weekend, November the 11th to the 15th, is that right? Yeah, 11th to the 15th, starting on a Thursday, ending on a Monday. Okay. Obviously, once you get to rank 1, you're no longer in the season. Okay, so it seems like it's basically a star a rank, or a win a rank. A win to progress up a rank, and a loss would take you down a rank. So there's no necessarily like stars, and there's no leagues as well. The best thing, the prizes, you can see just obviously they say the best things, the prizes, but honestly, I've taken a look at the prizes and I'm not exactly that excited. We can actually bring them up here. So, ranked season 17. These are the rewards. How much you get is another question. Is it just is achieving rank 6 one promotion order and 1 day's premium? Does that mean that when you finally achieve rank 1, you get 1 doubloon and 1 steel? This picture could have provided a lot more detail. Because there's just no quantities. It's like, if you get to rank 6, you will receive some days premium and some promotional orders, but we don't know how much. Get to rank 4, some flags and some universal accommodations. It's a bit too vague. That's what I don't like. They say the best thing about this season of ranked is the rewards, and we don't know we know what the rewards are. We just don't know how much. And therefore, it's very difficult to put any kind of like value on the rewards. Yeah, just one of each. Anyway, season 17 of Ranked, running from Thursday the 17th until Monday the 15th, starting and ending at 7 AM UTC. Tier 5 ships, no aircraft carriers, a maximum of 1 destroyer per team. 7 ranks, no leagues. Team size of 5, irrevocable ranks being 7, 6, 3 and 1. Divisions of up to 2 players are allowed, and the maps will be Archipelago and Ring. Going on to season, let me get this right, season 18. There you go. Again, no real values on what we're actually getting, but we have a general gist of what we're getting. Amusingly, I'm not seeing any Black Friday containers. Yep, no Black Friday containers. So again, they're being very, very stingy of Black Friday containers as well. Anyway, season 18 runs from, I think, Thursday the 18th until Monday the 22nd, ending and starting at 7 AM UTC. Tier 6 ships, no aircraft carriers, a maximum of 1 destroyer, 7 ranks, no leagues. Team size of 5, irrevocable ranks being 7, 6, 3 and 1. Divisions up to 2 players are allowed. Maps, New Dawn, Trident and Neighbours. And Baz, no Black Friday crates, what's the point? Get your 1 doubloon. I think. Maybe. This is the thing, without knowing exactly what the rewards are, these information graphs aren't really being that helpful. And no one was. Honestly, it's always confusing how they put the reward tier 4 being better than tier 3 in this case. No, the insignia is probably worth more than the paint. The accommodation's worth more than the paint. Yeah, like achieving rank 4 is worth more than achieving rank 3. That is very true, and it was. Vaz, ranked rewards are poo-poo as usual. Yeah, and the thing is, I think they kind of like done. I wouldn't say. Well, actually, no, they've dumbed down ranked. They've made ranked a lot simpler. This isn't going to be a challenge. For a majority, for most players, this shouldn't be a challenge. You should be able to just push through this very quickly. I mean, to get from rank 1 to rank 7, as I read it, it's 7 wins. That's quite achievable. So yeah, it should be quite. Sean, one deluxe paint pot, free dog. Sparrows, I think ranked awards historically are underrated for all the effort it took to get to rank 1. Yeah, this is the thing. Ranked has gone from a challenge for the player base, which was about proving how good you were, to at the moment it seems to be a pat on the back for playing 7. Well, playing 7 like with 7 games, like a decent division of 2 players who know how to play, who know how to rely on each other and trust each other, will actually probably do this in 100%. I mean, I think my ranked win rate is somewhere in the 60s, and recently it's been a lot higher. So potentially you could even churn this out in a single evening. I might even stream it. I'll have to get in contact with my division buddy when it comes to ranked, but potentially I might just stream it, because potentially you could actually finish this in a single stream. Anyway, season 19. Oh, I can't wait. Tier 7 ships, no aircraft carriers, a maximum of 1 destroyer per team. So again, still limiting destroyers. 7 ranks, no leagues, team size of 5, irrevocable ranks being 7, 6, 3, and 1 again. Divisions up to 2 players are allowed. Maps, Trident, Neighbours, Haven. Yeah, ranked has gone downhill. Let's just say. No was. Well, luck is a thing. Yeah, no, that's true. There is a bit of luck when it all comes to this. But yeah, ranked just seems to be incredibly dumbed down. Wait, did you say there is only 7 games to get to rank 1? Yeah, but by reading it. This is the thing. I'll read it again. Getting to rank 1 makes you ineligible to play in the season. You're too good for that at such a point. Please note, in these seasons, while getting a new rank, you don't get another star. So losing the next game results in going back 1 rank, except for irrevocable ranks. You keep the stars if you're the best player. I don't know. Okay, maybe treat that maybe... It's hard to say. Because that's the other one, we don't really know how many stars there are. While getting a rank, you don't get another star. I don't know, it kind of implies there's stars, but I don't recall ever getting a rank and then you automatically got a star either. And so I don't get... Maybe that's me just getting a little confused then, potentially. But yeah, how many stars it is then? If it is stars, I don't know. If it's not stars, then it potentially could be quite quick. Yeah, obviously they're going to say they're going to give us more details when we get there. It's a shame, like this is the moment where they should really give us lots of details. Okay, potentially treat my comment that it's only going to take 7 games to finish it as a pinch of salt, but in general, without, at the moment when we don't know. This thing, even if they just said how many stars it would take to complete there would be perfectly fine. I don't know why they can't do that. Oh well, we'll come back to that. Stumpy, Exeter ranked for you, Major? It probably will be. We should be back. I think the internet dropped out there. Still waiting for it to recognise that we're back in the room. Might have to refresh the stream page. Oh, we are back. Yeah, okay. Sorry, apologies for that. It seems like the internet dropped out. Thankfully, by streaming with OBS, it does reconnect me when it disconnects. Anyway, where did we get to? So we were talking about the... Sean, I thought it was mine. No worries. I do apologise. Sometimes it happens. Just the joys of having to rely on internet, I guess you say. So, main battery reload and main battery grouping of the New Mexico is being improved. Reason being is the New Mexico is probably one of the poorest performing tech tree tier 5 battleships. Generally, the American battleships at tier 4, 5, and 6 are actually the worst performing in regards to amount of XP earned. But then again, American battleships are quite usually a typical go-to for first-time gamers as well. So potentially that might be one of the reasons why they have quite poor performance, because I'm sure that some people do very well in them anyway. John Jericho, the commander, on second thought and Smoke on the Water are being replaced with Hidden Threat and Burn Baby Burn. Again, interesting. It does obviously make him more useful as a carrier commander, but it does potentially reduce his benefit as a battleship commander and a destroyer / light cruiser commander as well. Kleber has had its torpedo range nerfed from 8 kilometers to 6 kilometers. I don't play Legendary tier, and the reason being is I find it to be a dumpster fire, is the best way to put it. Personally, I don't have fun at Legendary tier. The ship choices that we have there are quite poor. Cheerio, Vaz. Much obliged. Thanks for coming along, Vaz, though. Much obliged. But yeah, so the Kleber, obviously, she's getting a nerf. She was performing quite strong from what I read. It's interesting that it's the Kleber getting a nerf. I do remember or recall the community managers mentioning the gearing was potentially going to be aligned for a nerf in regards to torpedo range, which we haven't seen. The reason being is obviously the introduction of Gleaves really pushed out the gearing torpedo range. But yeah, so we've seen the Kleber being nerfed before the potential gearing nerf. That change is probably going to be, it's going to affect the Kleber, and I think, but I can kind of maybe see why they've done it, is because I guess potentially with the Kleber, a lot of people are running Go All Out, which will reduce their textability right down. As Spargo says, though, I think the Kleber nerf is pretty crippling to the Kleber and will affect her popularity and her overall output of the tier. But as I say, I don't play Legendary tier much, so I can't really comment too much, I guess you say, in regards to that impact. Evasive Maneuvers is being changed. Okay, so Evasive Maneuvers, consumable, was basically is going to be changed. Instead of granting invulnerability, basically no incoming damage, it will now be changed to decreasing incoming damage by 50%. So basically, it's not going to be invincible aircraft. It's now just going to be reduce the incoming damage. I think that makes a lot more sense. It's certainly a change that I've seen recommended by a lot of CCs, and it's certainly a change that I personally agree with. I personally feel that Evasive Maneuvers is just too powerful, and it's a little bit sickening. I play a lot of CVs, or have been playing them a lot more recently, due to obviously British CVs coming out, and this kind of evasive maneuvers ability, it meant I could just ignore the AA. Like, completely. I could take 3 aircraft out on, say, the Lexington, and as soon as I got within AA range, I'd turn this on, I could ignore the AA and just fly in regardless and drop the torpedoes. So seeing evasive maneuvers being tweaked like this, I'm all in favour of. They've also introduced a new HUD yellow state to indicate the reduced incoming damage while evasive maneuvers is if active. Okay, fair enough. I guess that makes it slightly more clear. Miscellaneous changes, they've added the epicenter, scenarios to tiers of the desert, tier 7 and legendary, and trident tiers 6 and 5. So that's quite interesting to see that epicenter mode is now becoming more prevalent. Obviously, the chances of it being this game mode, we don't see here. I might ask on the CC Discord, which I will then obviously maybe share on Monday if I can. We've also got some reworked spawns on Haven. That could be interesting. See where they've gone with that. The middle spawns on both the northern and southern teams were adjusted for shards. So that's the two, like, the ones where one side's got islands and the other side's not, and you're kind of like fighting over the cap in the middle there, which is like surrounded by islands. So it's going to be interesting to see how those have been changed. And North is no longer available as a map for tier 4. It was just too large for these smaller ships. Okay, fair enough. And that is all of the patch notes. So hopefully you've been able to pull up with the minor internet blip we had partway through, and I do apologise for that, but there's not really too much I can do about that until Virgin Media come to the area. Otherwise I've got to stick with BT. But yeah, that is all of the patch notes, and so we're just cracking on to the top. As I mentioned, down in the description is a link to the patch notes if you want to read them yourself, and also the hidden redeem code which is within the patch notes, and a link to the redeemer where you can redeem it should you so wish. And I think that will grant you some shadow camouflages, which is the Black Friday black camouflages, which I think are rather rather nice looking. I certainly have equipped them to a couple of my British ships as well. Alright, let me just move the tea set, and if you have any questions, feel free to just shout them out in the chat, and I'll obviously give my responses, and I might change some of the backgrounds. In fact, what I might do, just because of my British bias, while we're waiting for questions, if any, we will put this up. This looks quite nice. Overall opinions on the patch. Let's see. The changes to the containers, I think that's fair enough. I can understand why they're doing it. I think crates should be determined at the point you open the crate, not when you receive the crate. And the change to the 1 in 40 mechanic, it's more of a safety net just to stop people. So, like, quite a few times I see people like comment, I've opened up so many crates and I didn't get anything. So maybe this 1 in 40 crate will just reduce those chances of that poor luck. In regards to the campaign, I think the campaign's slightly weak in regards to rewards. The rewards generally just don't seem to match up to what I was expecting or what I'd normally expect. The reward ships, the tier 4 French destroyer, potentially interesting. Main battery reload boost at tier 4, that's quite strong, but in general she is just a French destroyer, so the performance could be questionable on that one. It's maybe one of those like horses for courses. Some people are going to like her, some people aren't. In regards to the mains, I hope she's not too strong. I'm concerned, especially considering the recent introduction of the Weimar. I hope they can learn from the mistakes made with the Weimar and correct this tier 7 one. She does have weaker armor, so that could be of her detriment, but it doesn't seem to be weak enough, and potentially her downside will probably be her maneuverability. In regards to British carriers, I'm looking forward to them. Doesn't seem to be too many mechanics changes in regards to PC, and expect me to be playing a lot of them in the coming weeks, and potentially releasing videos and such in regards to them. And also there will be a entirely focused live stream on them after the patch on Monday. That is currently scheduled for 15:30 hours GMT/UTC. Hope to see you there. Obviously, I know it's very early for those of you stateside, and it's in the afternoonish for those of you in the United Kingdom and across Europe. In regards to the choice of carriers, I like them. Choice of commander, he was my number one choice, so I'm glad about it. Soviet cruisers leaving early access, I really couldn't care. It's the honest one there. I really couldn't care. I have not enjoyed playing the Kocharovsky. I've not enjoyed playing the Gorky. I have to play the Talon and the Riga for reviewing. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, it is what it is. Black Friday 2021. The ship choice is quite interesting. It's interesting Exeter's in there. Some interesting choices there. But in regard, I'm not necessarily like super excited about Black Friday. I think it's one of those like we'll cross that bridge when we get there, when we see what the actual sales are. Warhammer 40k content. The German cruiser commander forthcoming does seem to be very interesting. AP focused, could be very good on the York and the Hipper and the Prince Eugen. So if you have those ships and you do like to focus on AP, then potentially that could be quite interesting. In regards to the Orc commander for the British, we don't have many details in regards to his traits, but he does seem to be of interest in at least regards to it's an alternative British destroyer commander build, which will potentially allow me to have some variants, especially for myself who has Reginald Tyrwhitt or Tyrwhitt as a British light cruiser commander. It means I only have one viable commander for British DDs, which is Philip Vine or Veen. So therefore having an additional commander is going to be quite helpful. So in some regards, I'm actually quite glad about that. Obviously, we don't know anything about his traits. In regards to rank, there's not a lot of details, but they're all weekend rank seasons. The tiers are quite interesting. The limits and destroyers, it is what it is. No arms race mechanic, thank God for that. No aircraft carriers, but there will be a day eventually, trust me. I'm sure they'll introduce it at some point. Balance changes, the Kleber's getting absolutely castrated, is the best way to put it. Evasive maneuvers is getting a well-deserved change. It should not be as overpowered as it is. Miscellaneous changes seem alright, mostly in regards to maps and spawns. Changes to Jericho, we'll see how far-reaching they are once they've impacted. And the buffs to New Mexico, I guess, are kind of deserved. bear in mind that most of this is all part of 3 weeks, and so we can expect another 3 week, after 3 weeks, and expect another update to the game while the campaign is still forthgoing. So we might see whether we see arena or other collaborations or premium ships later on will be quite interesting. Right. Stumpy, what's your feeling Royal Navy CVs? Looking forward to them, honestly. I look forward to playing them, and we'll see how they go. Tazar Kaz, what's your favourite British battleship in the game? I know Stumpy's saying HMS Hood, but I guess HMS Hood is officially a battle cruiser. I mean, if you're not gonna, if you say I can't have Hood because she's officially a battle cruiser, then HMS Nelson. I do like Nelson. She's very nice. Stumpy, did you predict carpet bombing? I had an inkling it would be carpet bombing. It didn't seem to make sense why it took them so long to actually come up with that. And then it was. I mean, when's another Zerlane collaboration forthcoming? I've been going all out. Going all out that particular campaign. I mean, the campaign for 3 weeks, I almost stopped playing completely. That's true. This is the thing. I haven't heard any information in regards to a Zerlane collaboration. I know that Zerlane is a continued collaboration with Wargaming in regards to both World of Warships and World of Warships Legends. And yeah, we are looking at about a year since Wave 2, aren't we? So I think the best place, I think as you already know, I think the best place to try and keep an eye out for whether or not there will be a forthcoming Zerlane collaboration is obviously the World of Warships Legends Japanese Twitter account. Obviously it's in Japanese, but it comes with pictures and stuff like that. Alternatively, just keep an eye out on maybe say Reddit posts where people share that. Namely was, if you do keep an eye out on the Japanese Twitter account for World of Warships Legends and you do see anything regarding Zerlane, please let me know. That'd be much obliged. Tom Ralston, I just heard about Spartan losing his CC. I hope things get better for him. He has covered that himself. If you want, I'd rather not get into it, if you know what I mean. Like it's his thing. He's got to own it. I don't really want to get too much involved with it. I respect his honesty about it, and he has done his own live stream on it. If you want to get his opinion, it's best to go there. Yeah, I mean, he obviously did help this channel very much. He gave me a shout out, completely unexpected. Unexpected shout out. And so obviously that did help the channel grow substantially, and many thanks to him for that. Yeah, I hope things work out for him. And I'll leave it at that, unless people are really prying for my point of view on that. Pablo, they really need to ramp up the amount of commendations offered in the campaign. We are getting regular editions of commanders, and it's far too time-consuming to rank them up. Yes, the amount of universal commendations is quite limiting. You're looking at like 5 per patch or something like that, although there are more available through ranked and arena and stuff, so it's not as high as some people would like. I guess the alternative is to like grind out Commander XP and convert Commander XP into universal or personal accommodations. Yeah, so there's not a lot of ways obviously to get universal accommodations or within the game, really, and especially amount of commanders they introduce, it is getting very time consuming to rank out. Spartacus, 15-minute game, 2 challenges that last 6 seconds. I still stand by my original statement. Too many crybabies don't know how to play carriers and want them removed from the game. That is, yeah, quite true. I think in some regards that is true. Carriers can be very strong in a player who can do them very well. I wouldn't exactly say I'm a great player in carriers. There's certainly better players out there. Name that was, he puts me to shame when he plays carriers at times. But yeah, carriers can be quite strong, and I think it all depends on the player with carriers as well. Sean, heard they're doing a black hood for 50,000 doubloons. They're calling it Robin Hood. I know the worst one is I'd probably still buy it. Yeah. Stumpy, I agree, Pablo. I'm a light player. I need to rank my Royal Navy commanders up still. Yeah, the amount of universal and personal accommodations is limiting at times. Like I said, for me, it's 6 out of 10. There's no training rooms, so no 10 out of 10. Yeah, training rooms obviously going to be forthcoming when we get crossplay divisions. Crossplay divisions will obviously be forthcoming with clans, but obviously they can't really provide us with a time scale in regards to that. The reason being is obviously it's all down to like negotiations and loopholes and things that they need to do in regards to satisfying Microsoft and Sony at the same time, and unfortunately that can be not easy to do. Let's just say that Microsoft and Sony don't usually want things to benefit the other, I guess you can say. Tom, really enjoy the relaxed vibe here. Well, much obliged. It's certainly different here. Is one way to put it. Something much appreciated, Tom. You'll make the major blush. yes, please. Anyway, I've caught up with the chat, so unless there's anything else to add there, I haven't got anything more to add, is the best way to put it. And we're still live. Everything seems to be all okay and everything else like that. I'd say thank you to everyone who has come off. Stumpy, any Swordfish the Royal Navy CVs? Yes, I think you can expect to get Swordfish on Hermes and as the base aircraft on Furious. And obviously, if you so choose, you can decide not to upgrade your aircraft to the Barracudas and retain Swordfish on Furious. If you so wish. I think what I might do on the live stream on Monday is probably try out each carrier with and without the fully upgraded aircraft, just to give an appreciation of all the different aircraft types which are available on the aircraft carriers. Tom, still Worcester be more useful when British CVs come out since it's all about AA. This is the thing, like, I think as someone did touch on it right at the start of the live stream, no legendary tier bureau stuff, which is a bit of a disappointment. I know they say that that a lot of players haven't completed every project within the bureau, but it's been a long while since we've actually had any additions to the bureau, and I kind of think, well, rather than waiting for people to catch up, let's just crack on and get the new content out in the bureau. Let's get those legendary tier cruisers out there and get people researching them so we can actually balance out legendary tier and actually have some diversity. Because at the moment, legendary tier, you've got 3 battleships, 4 destroyers, 1 battle cruiser, and 1 cruiser. There's not enough variation at legendary tier. We seriously need to get some light cruisers and proper heavy cruisers in the game and start mixing it up a little bit. Sparrows, thanks for a great review of the next update, Major. Definitely the most informative and objective one I've seen. Have a great day, everyone. Much obliged. This is why I do these kind of like live stream ones. The reason being is you can put your input. I kind of like discuss it back and forth it. I find it a bit more fun as well. I get you guys involved. Sparrows, wish we had a Star Wars collaboration. Admiral Tarkin for British CVs. I know it was, despite me not playing for quite a while, still have tons of premium days though. Oh yeah, they seem to give out premium days like there's no tomorrow sometimes. Sometimes I know people can literally just keep their premium days without really having to invest. You know, like they just keep earning them. Rightio, there's a lot of names here, so I don't think I'm going to really have the chance to say thank you to everyone, especially since the internet had a bit of a failure halfway through. Sean, yeah, great review of the new update. Which not a fan of CVs, but because the British are coming, might have to take a close look. Yeah, I don't blame you. Right, I'm going to try. I don't think the stream's going to let me go for that far back. I'd say thank you to Sean Whitland, to Name It Was, to Vaz Vegas, to Salty Sax, to Brandon ABC, to Sean Whitland, to Mike X Gaming, to Pixel Mug, to JB, to Admiral Criv, to Spartacus and Spargos and to Zarkaz. There might be some more names I might have missed before. This is the problem. When I scroll back in the chat, I can only go back so far. Thank you to Stumpy West. That's where the stream cut out. That's amusing. Thank you to Tom Ralston. Thank you to Pablo. I think that's everyone. Thank you to the Doctor as well. Tom, it is disappointing when we had the same ships out and nothing new for Legendary. Yes, very true. But that's my point of view as well in regards to Legendary too. Oh well, thank you to everyone who has come along. If you can, give the stream a thumbs up before you go. It'd be much obliged. Obviously helps with promoting the channel and promoting the stream. And until next time, look after yourselves. Stay safe, stay well. Have a good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and a good night wherever you're in the world. I'm the Gareth Major, and back to the port.